A lot of you are familiar with the DNA project and have been rocking with us for a while, but some of you aren't. A lot of you are faithful listeners of the podcast, but aren't familiar with some of the other work that we do. So I just want to take a quick moment to explain to you a little bit more of what we do. So you're getting married, or you have a friend, a cousin, a sister, somebody you know is getting married. Okay. You've booked your venue, caterers, photographer, all that good stuff. When it comes to live music, most people have no idea where to look. We have you covered. Picture this. During the ceremony, while guests are being seated, or while the bride's walking down the aisle. During the cocktail hour, while guests are just mingling and having a good time. Don't forget about dinner music. That's very important to set the mood while guests eat. And we definitely can't forget the party. Let's get the party started right now with the DNA Project. www.thednaproject.ca for more information.
Yeah, we love it. Fresh out, hot out the gate, guys. Here we go. We just jump right in.
Okay, wonderful. So, okay, if you want to hear something about my background, as an education, I am a doctor in mechanical engineering.
Okay.
And always love mainly two things: motorbikes and Hammond organs.
Okay.
So I was kind of splitting my interest in those two things.
That's a good quick intro there. We're just gonna quickly, Ricky, do your thing, intro the show. That's a good way to kind of get people interested in who you are, and we're about to let them know too.
Yeah, the voice you're hearing is Max. It's Max or Massimo. Which one do you prefer?
Always the same. I mean, in Italy they call me Massimo, but in the rest of the world, Max is shorter, simpler, and no possibility to confuse things. So call me Max is okay.
I like Massimo, but I'm sure Anthony will.
But I mean, as you want, I turn my head both cases anyway. So nice. Feel free to call me as you want.
Okay, amazing.
For me, the same.
We really appreciate you taking the time to come and speak with us. We were excited to talk to you because both of us have grown up enjoying this instrument that your company produces. So we thought we would get right into it. And just basically, you were explaining before Anthony cut you off. You were explaining a little bit of your.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I love the passion. Yeah, no, I don't want to squell that passion. So please just continue with your background story and share with us how you kind of started out in music.
Yeah. So I was telling you that I always fell in love with the sound of the tone wheel of the Hammond organs when I was a young boy. Just telling the at the time there was we call it the disc eater. These small boxes that you can play the 45 RPMs on that.
Right.
And this was really the sound that catched me, and I wanted to play that instrument, and I wanted to have this sound under my fingers. So I started getting some lessons. Of course, these Hammond were bloody expensive in Italy. They cost like a large car or a small apartment or something in between.
Right.
So, I mean, it was not really an option for my parents. So I started my first musical experience with an Eco Tiger Duo that was, kind of horrible frequency divider organ. But anyway, it was kind of playing the sound a little bit of sound of the organ. So long story short, long time passed before I could reach and afford a second-hand tone wheel Hammond. So I got an L100 that probably spent like maybe 20 years in a piano bar. It was completely, destroyed after such a heavy life. So I got it, I restored it, and I started my adventure in the Hammond technology. Started with this L100.
Nice. How old were you at that point?
I was about 20 to 19, I think.
Okay.
19 years
so
old.
That's kind of the starting place.
So I started with that, and then I kind of remained with it, just changing the Leslie from a 760 that is a transistor Leslie, but it was sounding great, and then was for me very important thing.
That's what matters.
Was true tube Leslie. So I started with this combo, and I was rather happy. Started to playing with my friends in garage band, and then everybody liked the sound that I had. And but I was not happy. I wanted to get the real B3 that for us in Europe is actually C3 because the B3 are bloody expensive here. So we always look at the C3 as an entrance, console because they are much more common here and the price is much more reasonable.
Right.
So after again some years, I think I was maybe in my 30s, something like that. I started looking for a C3, and I found out that in the both UK and in USA, those instruments were cheaper than much cheaper than in Italy. So I could buy one there, and with the money that I could get from my L100 and 147 45 combo, I could get one C3 plus tube Leslie. So I tried. I didn't speak any English at the time, but in some way I managed. Don't ask me how, but the passion was driving me strongly. So in some way I managed. And I started importing. I saw that the price difference was significant, and I started imported some combos, organs, and Leslies from UK. Okay. And so I used to fix them, to put them in pristine condition, to clean, to fix every mistake that was there. So I started to get familiar with the technology. Right. And I started putting my hand dirty into tube electronic at the time, because I was telling in my introduction, untimely introduction, I am as an educational mechanical engineer. So I had no education at all on electronics. Gotcha. But I started with this tube electronics, and I started loving it. I mean, it was really a kind of, I discovered really something that I love deeply. Okay. And then I step up after a couple of years of these things, I step up in top management positions. So this didn't allow to me have any really time for that. Yeah. So I have kind of put these things at the side.
Okay.
Then time was going on, and then I moved to Prague for some business/private reasons, right, from Italy, from the north of Italy. After living some years in Milan and working a couple of years in Vienna, I moved to Prague. Yeah. And one day I wanted to go back playing. And due to logistic condition, I have no possibility to bring one of the. I have still have 4 consoles and 5 Leslies. So, but I had no time to bring these, up to the 5th floor with a small lift. It was very complicated. So I said, okay. And then I cannot go to the practice room with my friends. Right. So I said, okay. I was in the market for a clone.
Yeah. Okay.
I already had before a Roland VK7. That when they stolen me, I never fought for stolen it to me. I never fought for 1 second to go back buying it back, because it was not for me. I mean, I was feeling not good with the layout of the buttons. The sounds was not really. It was not bad, but it was not sounding like a Hammond. Oh. That means that if you have a certain drawbar configuration, you cannot simply take this drawbar configuration, replicate them on the VK7, and cut through the band in the same way as you did with the C3 in the practice room. So I was not happy, and I said, no, I will not go this route.
Sorry to cut you off there. Just a quick question. So the Roland VK7, that's a portable organ, right? That was
it's a portable organ. It's just, single keyboard, like digital clone.
So I guess if we picture like an actual keyboard, it's basically that size.
Yeah. It's 5 octaves. 5 octaves with.
Got you. But it wasn't good enough. It wasn't making the cut.
I mean, it was not bad for the time. It was not bad. I was, I tested in New York. One day I was in New York at some ash, and I tested them one on top of the other, and I ended up for selecting the Roland as a better sound.
Interesting. Okay.
But I wasn't happy with it.
Right. Okay.
So I started thinking, okay, what to do? And for some very, sometimes life gets you some opportunity that you never think about. Yeah. I was on holiday in Mallorca, went to the newspaper stand, and I found out a German magazine where the cover says the IKEA organ. In German, organ is organ. Yeah. And I said, what is the IKEA organ? So I got the magazine. And I went there, and there was Carsten Meyer, that is chief redactor of this magazine, presenting its own HS3 sound engine. I was interested, and I went to the internet checking for the sound, and I said, "That's it. That's the sound I would be happy to live with," because it was very, very close to the tone wheel.
And this
sound.
is also portable, right?
No, this is just a board. I mean, I don't have it any free now. They are inside the organs. Okay. It's just, this custom makes the sound engine is like a board, like 200 millimeters by 100.
Okay. Okay.
And this is the sound engine that replicates whatever is inside a console, but the keys and the controls and the drawbars. So everything, tone generator, vibrato, chorus generator, delay line, matching transformer, preamplifier, everything is inside the small electronic board. So I said, that's the sound I can live with. I would be happy to play this organ both home and in the practice room or in the gigs in the beer pub with the friends, because my skills are horrible, so I could not expect to play any real stage. And I started looking for an organ that has this sound engine in it, and I found none. There was actually a guy in Germany that was making some, but I don't want to sound mean, but they were really horrible looking, and layout was really something that they couldn't live with it, and said no, it's not for me.
Sound okay though?
For me,
or is it more about the look of it and the feel?
The sound was okay. I mean, I was totally happy with the sound of the organ. Mm-hmm. I was not so enthusiastic about the sound of the rotary emulation, because when you talk about organs, there is the B3, the console that generate the sound, and then there are the Leslies.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see. Right there. Yeah.
These boxes there. When we have the speakers rotating, and it's very complex device, That means I was very happy with the sound generated by the HFC board, but not with the internal rotary emulation. So I said, okay, I looked on the internet and I found a ventilator, and I was very happy with the sound of the ventilator. I said, these things nails the sound of the rotary of the speaker. So the combination HFC sound engine and ventilator was really putting together the best things in the world for emulating these two different parts that makes the sound of a Hammond organ, or let's say drawbar organ, just not to always mention the name of competitors.
Right. I have a quick question while you take a pause there too.
Yes.
So basically, there was these two, I guess, small devices that when combined helped to emulate the sound of what you expected from.
Yeah, that's right. Let me see if I can get a board.
This is complex stuff.
We're going deep in the engineering world. But it's interesting because I always loved the sound of the organ, but never really understood how that sound was actually made.
Right. Yeah.
This is what I call extension board that adds some functionality, some in and outs and some other functionalities. Right. But let's assume that the sound engine is just slightly larger than this board here.
Okay.
And then this is the rotary emulation.
So small. Okay.
Yeah.
This sandwich of boards is the rotary emulation. Right. So combining the two things in the organ, the main part of the organ are the rotary, the extension board, and beside here there is another board like this, similar to this one, slightly larger than this sound engine. Okay. These are the three fundamental parts of the organ. Gotcha. So let me be clear to you. I am not the one selling you the idea that my organs are equal to or exactly the same as a good condition B3 with a Leslie.
Okay.
I love the old one. And I think that if I should go recording, I would go recording with a perfect condition combo, C3, B3, A100. They are all the same from the sound viewpoint, and a perfect condition Leslie. Real life is that not always what you find is in good condition.
Yeah, not available, right? Yeah.
And when you got things that are not in good condition, then can be that the clone. A good clone can be even a better solution. Right. I personally don't want to mention names, but I have a first-class American jazz player coming to Czech Republic for a tour. He got the organ, one of my organs from a client of mine I didn't even know, when my friend from New York told me, that guy is playing tonight in Prague. And I said, okay, went there and find him there, playing one of my organs with a horrible amplification system. And so we start chatting and whatever.
Yeah.
Then I follow him during the tour. And when the last tour in Czech Republic, the band leader, a well-known Czech player, I love him playing, don't love so many other things about him, but they love him playing. And he told to my client, bring the real Hammond on the stage. And when this first class jazz player from, I think it's from New York too, play this organ, it watched me and say, Max, this organ sounds horrible. And I said, I know it. That is my client. I know it. I told him a million times this organ was chopping the wrong way.
Right.
He lost a lot of frequencies. It's not really playing well. He has the wrong capacitor in some position. He has the wrong circuit for the volume pedal. This organ is dead. And he said, yes, this organ is muffled. It's not really an organ that they would like to play. It was a B3. Actually, it was an A100, but let's call it B3. You know, in the States, everything is a B3 in the States, so we stay for B3. And he asked me, can you bring me the other organ that I was playing last evening? And I said, I would. But the band leader, the Czech band leader, ordered to have the big Hammond on stage because it makes better appearance than organ.
Right. Okay.
Originally, I started designing an organ for me because I wanted to go back practicing. Okay. But, you know, sometimes life brings you some, let's say, turmoil or something that let you change your viewpoint. Right, yeah. So all of a sudden, I start thinking, okay, maybe I could make as a job. I could start manufacturing organs, right. Because I felt that there was a market. I mean, in my design goal, definitely I never put any cost. Was never an issue. I always put the quality first, quality and function first. Okay. Because I said, okay, you are the smallest guy in the bunch, in the pack. Yeah. So you cannot even dream to ever compete with the guys that have a purchasing department, that they buy the pieces by thousands of dozens or thousands or whatever. You're a small one, you're lucky if you can get some parts, and you cannot compete with the cost. Right. And also it's not in my, let's say, philosophy, so to say. Okay. If I go to buy something, I never buy a lot of things. I buy the things in the quality that I like. Matters. So that's my philosophy, and I couldn't imagine to do something that was against my way of thinking. That makes sense. Because, you know, I wouldn't be successful.
I guess we should ask you a couple questions here, because I know you said a lot.
Yeah, please speak. Sorry.
So, I mean, as far as the electronics and all that stuff goes, it probably, unless you're, real deep into the organ inner workings, it's probably going to go above your head, but it's still really interesting to listen to, because we've all seen these massive things, the B3, the C3, the A1, etc. You have this massive organ and then a big size Leslie. And some people even have 2 or even 3 Leslies attached. So it's a lot. It doesn't really work for, especially for a traveling musician. You have to have a major setup. And then you mentioned something that I hadn't really thought of either, because just if you're on the road and you request a B3 and whatever model Leslie you want or you prefer, it's not like saying I want, a Yamaha ES7 keyboard. Because, as you mentioned, every Leslie, every organ, depending on how it's been maintained, and every probably environmental variables as well, are going to completely change the sound. So you're not getting necessarily what you want.
That's, right? You know, the point. Leslie and B3s, so to say, they were manufactured for more than 20 years, or about 20 years. And in this production range, there were so many variables that were changed over the years. If you get a 56 organ with a very early tube Leslie, and you compare it with one late 73 organ with one of the latest Leslie, the sound is pretty much differs quite a lot.
Is that kind of what brought you towards the decision of sort of creating your own company and line of products?
I started, it was for me, it was kind of personal moment in my life in which I had time, and I wanted to make also some business. So I said, okay, I invested $100 for the website.
Right.
And then I said, okay, I don't have pictures of my instruments because it's just the ideas and the drawings, the CAD drawings. And said, can you make digital renders of that? I said, me not, but I have a friend. So I invested another 2,500 crowns, so another 100 euros for having the renders made.
Yeah.
Wrote my own by myself. I wrote the text and opened the website, and things started to turn around. I mean, I don't know how and why, but things started to turn around, and I started to have requests. So the first, I think, 5-6 organs I made in the time I was living in downtown Prague in a rather largish flat. So I built the first organs in the living room, and then after I saw that the things were turning around, I got a shop, and then
So
I
these were
started
handmade.
and I never made any advertising. Yeah. And whatever, it's surrounded just because of the good, let's say, word of mouth that my happy clients spread around, and I never made any single cent of advertising. And many people come to me and say, hey Max, I can do this and that for you. I can be ambassador, I can be endorsed. And I said, okay, thanks.
I was going to ask you about
if
that.
If you want to be ambassador, you can buy an organ and then say good things to your friends, and that would be
that's as far as the ambassadorship goes.
Yeah. That is hilarious. That makes sense.
It's, even Don Airy from Deep Purple, he bought the organ and paid full price for that.
That's just been the model that works for you, right?
I mean, it's the way I set up my business, and I'm not going to big numbers, but for me, all the details are very important, Right. For me, when I was designing the organ, I was, as I told you, I was completely green in the electronics. Yeah. So I started to read in these big catalogs from Mauser, from Reichelt in Germany, and from Farnell, whatever, because I need to get my information. Right. And if I couldn't find the right components, I said, okay, I'm not going to compromise. I simply design my own components. And this was a situation for the drawbars. Of course, I had some samples from a company in Taiwan that is making drawbars for every organ manufacturer in the world. Wow. Almost, there is only one that makes different things differently. And everybody buys the drawbars from them. They cost not so much. I don't want to disclose the prices, of course, but they don't cost so much. But they are plastics, and I said in my organs, I don't want plastic drawbars because the good sounding Hammond, they have metal drawbars. So I went back to the CAD station on computer and started thinking my own way to do the metal drawbars. Yeah. And I come out with a design that proved to be working fine. Of course, if you buy 100,000 potentiometer, you can ask the supplier to do the travel that you want. Right. But if you buy 100, 200, 500 per year, or 1,000 in good year or whatever, you got to buy whatever it's in the market.
Right, makes sense.
So the point is that the drawbars in Hammond, they have 40 millimeters short, a little head short of 40 millimeter travel. And there is no 40 millimeter potentiometer available. Oh. So it was, of course, a problem. And I designed a mechanical system to reduce the travel, but then you have also to electronically compensate for the fact that you are not going for travel. But it has been done, and it works perfectly. Okay. So I can claim that I am the organ manufacturer in the world that has metal drawbars with the correct travel, because there are people that use plastic drawbars with the correct travel, and there are other producers that they do metal drawbars, but they use the simply stock 45 millimeter potentiometer without anything, and the travel is not nice. Because if you use the certain drawbar configuration, you operate the drawbars, and you close your eyes and you want to configure the drawbars with your muscle memory, then you will be completely wrong with the other organs that is 45
so to match what people
you got to check the numbers. You got to check the numbers if to be sure, and that's not really what I wanted. Same for the tabs, the white tabs that are on the organ. They are the vibrato and volume, normal, soft, and the percussion tabs on the other side. And there are some switches that can be used, but those switches are like that.
Right.
and they do click-clack when you operate them.
Okay.
And I said, not for me. I will not going to buy these things. So I use some, special parts of the program, let's say, use just the plastic top, so to say, of the switches, and I make my own switches below the plastic top. I do my switches by my own, using the best quality sensor that can guarantee trouble-free operation for millions of operations. Huh. And I'm only the only manufacturer in the market that they can keep the control panel at the same distance as the old console, because all the other have much bigger distance. Gotcha. My goal was to replicate an organ that you close your eyes and you feel home. You don't have to read the manual. Right. You don't have to adjust your muscle memory. You simply sit down and play. And this is what happened many times, that I was either renting or letting, be free player, check the organ. And they told me that's the best experience that I had, because it's I don't have to change anything. I don't have to rearrange my way of playing. Simply everything is where it's supposed to be.
It sounds like the attention to detail was very important.
I was just going to mention that. Right? Yeah, like, you haven't left any stone unturned.
Yeah.
That's appreciated. That's right. I'm personally made like that. And if I buy something, I go straight to the details. And if something is not really 100% right, I say, okay, thanks, no. And so this is the way I design my instruments. So I put the maximum attention, and the quality of the components is just the best that they could find.
Yeah. Wow. I hear the theme here. The consistent theme is just quality. And I'm starting to understand what really sets you apart from some of the others. I have a question here. Are you familiar, because you mentioned jazz, and there's a lot of organ dominating gospel music as well. And that's really big in, North America, Canada, and the U.S. And there aren't a lot of options. As I know you mentioned earlier, just availability of instruments and things like that. And I haven't seen too much of your product over here yet. Is there a plan in place, or is that something that you've worked on to bring the product over to you?
You touch the sensitive point. Really? Actually, I design the organs. I have a network of suppliers, and actually I should not really make any operation. Okay, just very minimal that supplier doesn't want to do. But I receive all the parts from suppliers, and they just do the final assembly.
Right.
Okay.
So I'm not really manufacturing anything inside here. I just put all the things together. Gotcha. All the things are made by my own drawings, and I receive them finished. But there are some operation to make an organ. But making an organ does not really take so long. I think probably, I never have updated calculation, I probably make an organ in 2 to 3 days. I can start an organ from scratch and then be in the testing phase.
Right.
And that's not really a long time, but all the things that go around that, updating drawings, dealing with part supplier, and so on, talking with clients, doing the small things connected to service and whatever. Right. So it's running all the things that really burns a lot of time. So in the moment, my bottleneck is in the production capacity.
Right.
I'm rather sure that if I don't want to sound, let's say, I don't know what to say in English, but I don't want to be bragging, so to say, but I'm rather sure that if I will go to the NAMM show,
I was going to ask you about the NAMM show.
I would come. I was never there, although I would love to. But I'm rather sure that if I would go to the NAMM show, I would sell everything that I would bring with me, and I would come back to Prague with many orders that would probably make me busy for a long time.
Are you going to go to NAMM? I think you should.
And this problem, but if the time would be 2 years, then probably the client would say, "Oh, sorry, man, I can't really wait for 2 years for getting something."
Right, I see what you're saying. So because it's made to order, so you're saying if someone places an order and you say 2 years,
they're made to order.
That makes it. Doesn't that make it special though? Doesn't that make the demand? I think there's something really magical about it, but
I don't like to do any more special, but I did some special.
It seems special to me.
I did. A guy from New Zealand come to me and say, I want a dual manual 3 octaves organ.
3 octaves.
3 octaves?
Yeah.
And that's your toy. And what a and they said, no, but I like it, for the music that I'm doing, I would love to have 3 octaves organ. I said, I'm sorry, but 3 octaves is really not enough. If you do 3.5, that would be like the spinet, the Hammond spinet, they have 3.5 octaves, they have 44 keys. So if you come to 44 keys, I can think of something. I can think of something. And I said, okay, it can be done. So I did these dual by 2 manuals by 44 keys each one. So very, very compact unit, very light. And then another guy from a gospel church somewhere in I don't know, Louisiana, Kentucky, asked me to do a 4 octaves, and I did it.
4 octaves.
I did some organs with the integrated display. Normally, my organs I don't put the display with the buttons for setting the parameters because I don't think you really need in the performance to adjust the length of percussion of the or the key click or whatever.
Right.
There are just a handful of parameters that can be interesting for the player to adjust. One is, of course, the drive. And the reverb that is also has a dedicated potentiometer, and not so much. I configure the organ now. The organ can be very freely configured with all
things, right?
with dozen of parameters associated to the existing potentiometer. But I normally configure to have just an EQ, 3 bands EQ, and then the drive and the reverb and the organ level.
All right. What inspired you to stay with the original Hammond interface? Sorry.
Like not make all the changes.
I took a very, let's say, modest approach.
Okay.
And to me, the Hammond organ has the same dignity as a piano.
Right.
So I couldn't even imagine to design nowadays a piano that has 1 octave more or less. The concert player, they play 88 keys, right, and they want to have 88 keys. Yes. They have 3 pedals, so I will not invent the piano with 5 pedals. I will not invent the piano with dual manual or whatever. It's to make it more compact. For me, piano has one very high dignity as an instrument, and I will not touch the design. Gotcha. And the same for me was for the B3. Gotcha. So with a lot of respect, I wanted to offer to my clients the possibility to have an instrument that is as close as possible to the other one.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, when I had the VK7, I'm a horrible player, as I told you, but when I was gigging around with these things, I was spending the whole gig looking for the buttons that were in the wrong position. I was used to have the C3 in the and then I was spending the whole gig. What is this? Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Where is where is the percussion? Where is this? And then adjusting the drawbars because they were not sounding properly.
Right.
And I said,
the integrity.
To me, a clone should really allow the player to feel home.
Right.
Makes sense.
So even when I developed the wooden stand, when I developed the pedal board, the bench, everything has been, whatever it's relevant for the player. That means the relationship between the heights and position of the pedals, the bench, and the volume pedal and whatever must be in the right position.
Right, the detail. Wow.
And no compromise is accepted on that. I'm a little bit, so to say, Taliban on this approach, but
right.
Whatever must be there. No discussion.
Right. That's it. Yeah.
So when I designed my own pedal board, I started designing the pedal board. My design goal was to have, I want to have the expression pedal in the right position, which is the longest pedal board that allows me to have the volume pedal in the right position. Right. Okay, I have here in the back, I have always one of my organs, an A100 that I use for reference for everything.
Oh, okay.
And I said, okay, you can have 20 pedals. So my shortest pedal board is 20 pedals. Because with 20, you can have the expression volume in the right position.
Right.
So for me, it was very, very important to, I wanted to give an organ for the people who knows. For the young boy that's listened to an album and says, oh, what a great sound is this thing. What is that? Is an organ? I want one. I'm not really the supplier. It's not my market.
Right.
There are they are really great instruments. They can offer to this green player a good instrument that is a relatively cheap cost, and then can introduce them to the organ sound.
Yeah.
My goal, my target was to go straight to those people that really know what they want.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah.
Normally, my clients, either they have one or more consoles at home, or they have a lot of experience on them. They maybe were playing churches or playing on professional stages, and they play maybe 100 Hammonds, and they know what they're talking. They know which the vintage of organ that better suit their needs. Yeah. I mean, we need to talk I don't want to sound mean, but we need to talk to a certain level to appreciate the features of my instrument. I mean, for the young boy, if the control panel sits at 11 millimeters at the top of the keys or sits 28,
it won't make a difference.
It will not care because it's not used to the drawbars in the right position. Right. So it's okay. I'm not prepared to pay $50 for this feature. Right. But for the seasoned player that he used to play, keep holding a note and operating the drawbars, this can be, I wouldn't say fundamental, but it's very nice to have.
Yeah, and you said you used the word home earlier, so you feel like you're at home when you're playing the instrument.
That was my point. So, I mean, it was no compromise approach, no compromise in the design. Organ is a very high dignity as itself as an instrument, so I want to stay with that as much as possible. Design my organs in the lightest way. Wow. So I use aluminum for my chassis, and I make all the components of the organ to contribute to the stability of the chassis. So if I have a chassis that is, just as it comes from the factory, you can bend it with your hands and no problem. But if your organ is properly assembled and everything is as it should be, then it starts to be much, let's say, resistant to torsion and the mechanical stress. Because all the components work together to give the highest stability. Amazing. Of course, I cut, if you open my organ, you see that all the parts do not contribute to the mechanical rigidity. They are cut out. I mean, and it cost is machine time and this costs money. But I don't leave there material that is not contributing to the stiffness, to the rigidity of the organ.
Right. Yeah. Wow. And that's amazing. Ghirardi and I have talked a bunch of times about, I have to bother you about this one last thing before we let you go. We mentioned it before, but I'm going to follow up on it, and I'm going to keep in touch with you to see what the progress is on this. The NAMM show, because Ghirardi and I have not been, but we are going to make it a plan to go on. We hope to see you there.
Yeah,
when you're going, and we're gonna come that year.
Definitely we'll stay in touch, but I mean, I must be prepared with the production facility to accept a bunch of orders and deliver in a reasonable amount of time. That's really my point. I mean, that Also, I don't have distributors over the world because I have very long waiting time. And which is the meaning for making organs for the distributor, and then I have my clients waiting, and it's not going to. So first of all, I have to increase the production capacity, but increasing it takes a course. Is something that you can do step by step because it's can be critical. Right. So I mean, I don't want to compromise the quality. I don't want to compromise my name.
Right.
Definitely what it is. I mean, I don't want to, but I think I have a little bit of, I build up a little bit of trust in the clients in what I do, and I don't want to compromise it.
Absolutely.
That's really incredible. Before we let you go, I'm just going to make sure that everybody knows where to find you. So the website is magorgans.com. It looks like you're on Instagram at mag_organs, and even YouTube.
Well, let me open a parenthesis here. My website is down for a long time because I have so many orders that I'm really not pushing the commercial side.
Oh, okay.
It will be up soon because it's long time that it's down and it's not really. But at the moment, I'm really not pushing to get more orders. But maybe in 2-3 months, the situation will be, let's say, changing again, and there will be another, there will be another model. There will be also will be amplifiers. We didn't talk about amplifiers. But in the back there are the Maggie, that is a stationary speaker that with proper design, many players were fooled and they think that it's rotary.
Wow.
Yet here in Prague, 2 American players coming one after the other in the best venue here, and they wanted a real Leslie, and the art director there told me, Max, I had to cancel the order. They want a Leslie, and I said, okay, I have one Leslie. I don't like to move it because it's a mint condition Leslie, but let's set up with the Maggie, and then if you are not happy, I will take the Maggie off stage and I will bring the Leslie.
Yeah.
You guess the Maggie stayed there, and they were down on me just looking what was rotating inside us. And it's completely unuseful that you look for something rotating. There is nothing rotating. It's just simply good design.
Beautiful. That's incredible. I can't wait to hear more about the new model, and when the website up, we'll bug you again.
I'm coming out already. I'm waiting for the first chassis for an organ that can be stripped down to the minimum,
Right.
working with battery power. And can be the organ for very, for the quick practice session that you simply grab. I have also a very compact shoebox size organ amplifier that is coming as well.
Okay.
So you grab the micro Maggie, you grab the L1, and you with 12, 14 kilos, you go to the practice section and you have a very decent organ sound.
Right.
And that's my goal.
That's exciting.
Forward to, yeah.
That's it.
That's incredible.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's
thanks
it.
so much for joining us.
Guys, I'm really glad that you contacted me. It was a pleasure for me talking to you, and I think I didn't bother you so much with my
Great
details.
stuff, and lots to look forward to.
information.
So we'll definitely keep in touch, and continue wishing you.
And if
continued
you
success.
feel whatever, probably whatever convenient for you, we can have a kind of update because I think there are a couple of things that might be interesting.
We would love
to
that.
talk
We
about.
would love that, for
In some time, I leave it up to you.
For
Anytime convenient for you, I'd be glad to talk again about my things.
Thanks so much, Max. Have a good one. We'll be in touch soon.
Thanks to you, Guy. It was really a pleasure for me talking to you, and I appreciate it.
Pleasure was all
hoping
ours.
to talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful
Thanks.
day.
You as well.
for
Thank you
listening,
so
guys.
much.